Chris Deakin is Programme Manager at the Youth Employment and Skills Consortium in Stoke, which is part of the YMCA. And Chris joins us this afternoon. Hi, Chris. Thanks for coming on to the programme.
Hi, good afternoon, George.
This report from Alan Milburn. Does it surprise you?
No, I think it sort of echoes really what we see both in the YES Consortium and the YMCA here in Hanley.
What is it you see then that you're hearing echoed in this report?
Lack of support systems, I think, is a big one. We've seen, over 90% cuts to youth services across the country. Young people tell us that they're stuck, they don't know where to go, they don't know who to talk to. We see a lack of opportunities for young people at entry-level jobs, as was mentioned in the news just yesterday. A lack of accessible vocational training. The entry requirements are often too restrictive for young people. We see a lack of sort of basic life skills as well, and confidence and resilience in young people. I think there's a lack of employers offering suitable placements on apprenticeship schemes. And we see employers being a bit young people risk averse. I think there's some responsibility on employer to try and bridge the gap. They often expect young people to be day one ready to enter employment, and they're just not. We've done some work with Stoke-on-Trent Chamber of Commerce around a scheme called the Future Ready Pledge, where employers are going to sign up to a scheme to be more young people friendly, and I think that's a major initiative that's promising. But I think Mr. Milburn's quite right. I think there's a big break, a big cut in the social contract with young people.
Why is it that young people are lacking basic life skills? What kind of things might you reasonably expect an 18-year-old or a 16-year-old to do that they're struggling with?
Well, it's a big question, and probably one for much cleverer people than me. But certainly, our sort of schooling system maybe is over-focused on academic achievement. And as I say, when young people perhaps don't achieve those academic qualifications, then their choices, having left school or leaving college, are very, very slim indeed.
What can you do to help? How do you support young people locally?
So we're a completely voluntary scheme. So as I say, we're a consortium of partners, including YMCA, Landau, the Youth Offending Service, Inspirational Learning Group, Stoke City Football Foundation Trust, the City Council, who've been very supportive partners. And our job really is just to get young people just initially to re-engage, so get them doing something, get them busy. We try to offer them access to opportunities around life skills, just doing something, things like cooking skills, team building, confidence building. And then we move them on to things like, more formal qualifications. We offer things like food safety training, first aid, coaching, CSCS, which is very popular, especially with young boys. We offer weekly job clubs and employment support. So, we're trying to sort of bridge that gap between young people leaving with poor skills and knowing where to go and what to do and how to access employment opportunities.
One of the concerns from some listeners and a point raised by Alan Milburn is whether young people want to work. Now, Alan Milburn is saying they do. Some listeners aren't convinced. What's your experience, Chris? Are young people desperate to work, desperate to be a bit more independent?
Yeah, I've worked at the YMCA now for over 20 years, and young people want to work. We get young people who come for housing, which is obviously another part of the social contract with young people. And we find that most young people want to work. They might need some support with how to go about it and where to look for work. But, one of the first things young people ask us when they move in is, can you get me a job? Can you help me get me a job? I think young people want somewhere to live. They want a bit of money and they want some friends. And it's not that difficult. I think what we're looking at, we need a radical change, I think, in how we look at this, and it's going to involve lots of partners in terms of how we do it. But I think we need a complete fresh look at how we look at helping our young people.
If you were in charge for the day, what would you do differently then? What would that radical new way of doing it look like?
Well, again, I think, you probably want far cleverer people than me, Stuart. But yeah, I think we need to change how society look at young people. Young people are our future, and we find that most of them are absolutely amazing. They're gifted, they're talented. They just need some support and help.
What support would you put in place? So what does the government need to do, for example, to provide and offer that support? If they're concerned about young people not being in education or employment or training, what could they do today to help ensure that more young people are in one of those things?
I think it starts early, doesn't it, as well? It starts way, way earlier in life. It's about getting the right support systems in place for young people, whether that's parents, whether that's mentors, schools, colleges, things like that can all have input into that. And I think that needs to happen a lot earlier. But yeah, we need more targeted support, don't we? We know that the jobs market's changing. We've got AI coming in, and that's something that we shouldn't fear. That's something that we should embrace. And we need to look at how we make room for young people in the new world of work that's coming.
Fascinating. Thanks, Chris. Really good to speak to you this afternoon. Thanks for your time. Chris Deakin, Programme Manager at Youth Employment and Skills Consortium, they're based at the YMCA. And as Chris was saying, they have many partners.